good morning, bonjour, buenas noches. Welcome to Life's Questions and Lessons. I'm your host, Charity Youngblood, and I am so excited and grateful that you are here with me today. This podcast is unedited because life is unedited. As always, we'll get started with a question and whatever activity you engage in to explore your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs, please feel free to do. So today's first question is, how much time do I spend in the present? How much time do I spend in the present? So one thing that I notice that is kind of a common theme in a lot of the spaces that I occupy, self-development, personal growth, is this idea of who you're going to be in the future. What goals are you going to accomplish in, enter time here? What goal do I want for the year? What goal do I want for the quarter, etc., etc.? Who do I want to be in 10 years? And while there's nothing wrong with that, absolutely nothing wrong with that, what sometimes can happen when you're focused so much on the future is it can potentially distract you from what's going on in the present. So if you're not someone who is really familiar with mindfulness, or maybe you've heard about it, but it's like, I'm not really sure where to start, I really, really challenge you to explore this question and think about how much time you actually spend in the present. And when I say how much time you spend in the present, I mean literally. Like understanding, like let's say you make tea in the morning. Like I usually have some type of like a chai tea. I love spicy chai. Oh my gosh, so good. Or a matcha or whatever. Like I have about 8 different types of teas that I kind of figure out which one I want for the morning. But if you're somebody who makes tea in the morning or coffee, and you're making coffee while you're thinking about your to-do list, or you're making coffee while you're on the phone, or you're making tea while also typing up an email, that would be a great example of not spending time in the present. So a very, very simple kind of change or shift in the way you think about this is, if you're making your coffee in the morning, sitting down for a second, listening to the coffee brew, or if you have like what's the one that we have? I actually don't drink coffee anymore, so see, this is why it's hard for me. But if you have a French press, right, smelling the coffee as it's actually brewing in the French press, or in my case with tea, sitting down, listening to the whistle, looking at the steam come from the teapot, looking at how I'm stirring, like literally being present in that moment. And what you'll notice is what I did not say. I didn't say, take 45 minutes and sit down somewhere for a mindfulness, meditation. Obviously you can do that, obviously. But there are ways to spend more time in the present doing what you already do. So really take some time and give yourself some space to think about this. And if you're struggling a little bit with thinking like, I'm not really sure how much time I spend in the present, or you're wondering what the next step would be after you do answer that first question, the second question would be, how can I spend more time in the present? So let's say you are like, wow, I guess I really do rush through. I don't really have a lot of time to think about or just be in that space. Whether you're working, whether you're resting, whatever the activity is, doesn't really matter. But taking in that activity and involving all of your senses. That's another way to really think about this is, what senses, what's going on as I'm writing? Let's say you're writing an email. It can literally be a present moment situation where you're intentional about being in the present, where you're looking at your fingers. You're maybe listening to the keystrokes, right? Just taking a second to be in that moment. So another way again to think about this is what senses? What are my senses? What am I sensing in this moment? That's another way to really bring you back to the present and to be able to spend time in the present without it feeling like a chore. You know, a lot of the things that we talk about on the podcast, and specifically what I talk about, is integrating things that you already do. Like you already make coffee, right? So how can I stay in the present while I'm making coffee? You already go for a walk, or you already microwave your takeout that you had from the night before, right? It's like, how can I incorporate what I'm learning and what we're talking about on the podcast and what you are learning on your own personal growth journey and your self-reflection journey? How can I incorporate those things in where I am instead of it feeling like something that you need to do, like homework? So really challenge you to give yourself some time to think about those questions in whatever way works best for you. And please rate and review this podcast wherever you're listening. And if this was helpful for you, please share it. If it was helpful for you, it's probably going to be helpful for someone else. And until next time, take care.